The Starbucks cold brew you love is now available in a can. It's so good, you'll believe that too good to be true can be true. Like finding out that you and your crush have been listening to the same playlist on repeat. With the smooth taste of Starbucks cold brew in a can, sipping is believing. Available in 3 delicious flavors. Shop now wherever you buy groceries. Click or tap the banner to learn more.
Your teen requested a ride, but this time not from you. It's through their Uber teen account. You drive your teenager around, a lot, to their friend Jacob's house, their other friend Jake's house, to James's, to Jaden's, to Jalen's, to...
Mom? This is Jake's house, not Jacob's.
Now with an Uber teen account, your teen can request a ride under your supervision. They'll ride with a highly rated driver, and with live trip tracking, you'll follow along the whole ride to their friends' houses that all sound the same. Add your teen to your Uber account today. See app for details.
Bye, Mom.
In the not-too-distant future, civilization has been destroyed by genocide, starvation and plague, and chaos reigns in the wastelands surrounding the collapsed Brooklyn Bridge. As guerrilla fighters battle amid the desolation, one woman, who is also a robot, harbors a secret that could save humanity. As menacing baddies seek to exploit her to monopolize the production of the world-ravaging plague's cure, a muscled martial arts mercenary has committed to protecting her. So hold on tight to the barbed wire, grab your repainted paintball guns, and join us on the trek to Atlanta as Nicholas Pepin, Laramy Wells, and I discuss Cyborg from 1989 on this episode of the 80s Flick Flashback Podcast.
In a world where the line between good and evil have been destroyed, a new breed of hero and a mysterious cyborg are on a mission that has sparked a battle. Take him out. That will change the future of civilization. Jean-Claude Van Damme is the first hero of the 21st century in Cyborg, rated R.
I'm Tim Williams, the mastermind behind the mic at the 80s Flick Flashback Podcast. Joining me on each epic episode is a guest co-host who's as crazy about 80s flicks as they are about wearing parachute pants and solving Rubik's Cubes. We're diving into nostalgic treasures we saw at the local theater, rented on VHS tapes, or discovered on cable TV. From blockbusters that make you say,
I feel the need for speed.
To hidden gems that'll have you screaming,
They're here.
It's a blast to relive these old memories and share our thoughts on what made these movies so special. We reminisce about our first time watch experiences, share our favorite scenes, and even discover fascinating behind the scenes tales about the cast and crew along the way. Haven't hit that subscribe button yet? What are you waiting for?
Come on, do it!
On Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcast platform. And hey, while you're at it, be a pal and drop us a written review along with a 5-star rating to tell us what you think about us.
The sportos, the motorheads, geeks, sluts, bloods, wastoids, dweebies, they all adore him. They think he's a righteous dude.
Take a day off and come hang out with us on social media. Just search 80s Flick Flashback on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. And don't forget to bookmark 80sflickflashback.com for more gnarly content.
Get out of town. I didn't know you did anything creative.
Want to crank it all the way up to 11? Become a supporter on buymeacoffee.com for only $5 a month.
Do or do not. There is no try.
Click the link in our episode show notes, and while you're there, soak up the extra trivia and fun stuff that didn't make it into today's show. Thanks again for tuning in. Now, let's get right into today's episode.
Welcome to the party, pal.
All right, welcome in, everybody. So glad to have you on this episode of the 80s Flick Flashback Podcast. We are almost through the action-packed August. We have done the Delta Force, Masters of the Universe, Tango and Cash, and now it's time for probably the most forgotten of all of the movies, because my two co-hosts, I don't think, ever saw this movie before they were somewhat forced to be on this episode, but let's introduce him anyway. Joining us once again from Pop Culture Roulette, it's Nicholas Pepin. How you doing, Nicholas?
I like the dead.
I like the misery. Yeah. And from Moving Panels, it's Laramy Wells. How you doing, Laramy?
I am so excited to talk about one of my favorite Teen Titans, Cyborg.
I don't think this is the origin movie you thought it was going to be.
What? Victor Stone, right? That's what this was, right?
I think Laramy might have watched the wrong movie.
Yeah. No, this isn't much better than Justice League, but we're going to talk about Cyborg. From 1989, Jean-Claude Van Damme and Cannon Films, a match made in cinema hell. No, I'm just kidding.
You're not wrong.
Right. But let's talk about it. So I'm going to take a stab here. When did you guys see this for the first time? Yesterday?
Yeah, 2 days ago. Well, let's scratch that. I started watching it 2 days ago. I fell asleep and then had to finish it today.
Thursday.
Okay.
I also fell asleep. Had to rewind the last 15-20 minutes. Then I watched it again on Saturday because I can't stop torturing myself.
Yeah. Well, since the three of us had to suffer through barbed wire, why not do Cyborg as well? I mean,
listen. I will rewatch barbed wire before I rewatch this piece of crap.
I'm debating on whether or not this is worse or Virus is worse, but neither one of those movies I intend on ever watching again.
Yeah,
so,
right. Same. But I still also think I would rewatch Virus before I rewatched Cyborg. So I fell asleep watching it.
Right.
And then when the next day I was like, okay, I got to finish this. I said, I don't know when I started falling asleep though, because I'm not sure I was really following what was going on. So I did decide to start it all over. Mm-hmm. Still have no clue what was going on.
Yeah. All right, Laramy, we're gonna have to get you back in some good movies because we've had Nightmare on Elm Street 2 and now Cyborg. So you're not doing too well here lately.
Yeah, but at least Nightmare on Elm Street 2, I enjoy it to a certain level.
Mm-hmm.
This movie, I didn't enjoy it any moment that I was watching it. And I'm still confused as to why they actually chose to call it Cyborg.
Yeah, we're gonna get into that. So yeah, so this is one that I saw as a kid, of course. I don't think I saw this in the theater. I'm pretty sure if I did, it was definitely at the Dollar Theater.
Better.
Yeah. But I remember seeing it several times when it came on VHS or probably on cable. I'm sure they played it a lot on cable. I'm sure Golan and Globus were trying to sell anybody the rights to play it on something to make some money back. But yeah, so I saw it several times then. I won't ask you guys how long it's been because you just watched it.
2 days.
Yeah. I think I started watching it about Hannah was born already. So maybe like 8 or 9 years ago, maybe within the last 10 years. And I will say at that time, I was like, this is not as good as I remembered as a, 13-year-old kid, that just wanted to watch Jean-Claude Van Damme like do splits and kick and fight people in the rain. That's pretty much all I remembered, from it before that. But trying to go back and rewatch it, I think I made it like maybe 30 minutes in. And I was like, no, I'm good. I don't think I really want to watch this again. But it's action-packed August. Jean-Claude Van Damme. We've already.
So why didn't you pick an action-packed movie?
Yeah. They can't all be winners. What can I say? But
this might be his way of getting you back for Morbius.
There you go.
Yeah.
I don't know how I got roped into it, but
I would rather watch Morbius again than watch this movie.
Yes. I will say that it did take a little convincing to get both of them on this episode.
I signed up for AMC Plus to watch this movie, so
you're welcome.
Yeah, at least by signing up for AMC Plus, you also get Shudder. So I'm gonna have to watch a lot of horror movies during my free trial here.
There you go. That's good. Well, what's funny is I woke up, I think it was Saturday morning, and Cyborg was on IFC channel. Like the very end of it was on. I was like, oh well, if I would have known that, I would have told Larry he could watch it on IFC.
No,
with commercials. like you'd watch it on Tubi.
Oh, I signed up for the bare minimum AMC Plus, so I still saw it with commercials.
Oh, it still had commercials? Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's still cut in like Tubi does, cuts in randomly at the most inappropriate time.
Halfway, well, I would say dialogue, but there's none in this one. It's a lot of grunting and screaming.
Yeah.
In between some of the indeterminate screaming that.
Yeah. I hate the water.
Yeah. All right. Is that going to be your running line on this episode?
No, my running line is going to be I would watch anything else over this movie. That's going to be my running line.
All right, well, let's jump into story origin and pre-production. I have a feeling this is going to be a short episode. Canon Films. This could have been Canon Film August because most of these movies that we've done are Canon Films, not by design, just happen to fall that way.
Need to launch it out of a cannon. That's what
But it faced many failures at the end of the decade. They kickstarted the ninja craze with the Ninja Trilogy. Chuck Norris and Charles Bronson starred in successful canon movies like Missing in Action and Death Wish sequels. But after Superman 4, The Quest for Peace flopped in 87, they decided
I would watch over this movie.
They decided to simultaneously produce the 1987 Master of the Universe sequel and a new live-action Spider-Man movie. The comic book rights were cheap due to previous failed adaptations. So in 89, 2 years after the last flop, Canon was on the ropes. They had just paid $225,000 to Marvel Comics for the rights to Spider-Man with the condition that the movie had to be released by 1990. Otherwise, the rights would expire and revert back to Marvel. Desperate for a financial recovery, Canon went ahead with producing the two movies with Albert Puen as the director. Puen was chosen due to his experience with science fiction and his connection to canon, despite his track record of low-budget films. One of his most successful films was The Sword and the Sorcerer from 1982, and he'd also previously stepped in to salvage a canon production with unfinished special effects in 1988. Though the resulting movie was not well received, it was completed nonetheless. So Spider-Man and Masters of the Universe 2 would ultimately become Canon's last theatrical release, marking their final attempt at a comeback. Two current productions encountered similar problems, and the filming simply stopped. Having already invested well over $2 million in sets and costumes, Canon asked Puen to come up with a new movie script that would make use of all the assets they had already created. So he wrote the script over the weekend, which led to the creation of Cyborg.
Sounds about right.
It took a whole weekend to write the script.
A whole weekend.
But he combined two of his previous scripts, one called Johnny Guitar and the other, Alex Rain, into one movie with a dark, warlike atmosphere. A couple of years later, he shot a movie called Nemesis, based on the Alex Rain character. But that's not all. He originally envisioned the movie as a rock opera with no dialogue at all, but with grainy.
Wait. How do you have a rock opera with no dialogue?
Well, I guess it's all singing. It would. Just
I guess are you not countering the lyrics as dialogue?
No, it would. No spoken dialogue. It would all be singing.
Okay, yes, spoken dialogue. Okay.
Yeah. After much resistance,
I'd probably rather watch that than this movie.
Oh gosh! After much resistance from the studio, he gave up on the idea and continued with more traditional style, if that's what you want to call it. The movie's original title was actually Slingers, as in Gunslingers of the Wild West. The director's cut, which he released a couple of years later, explains who the Slingers are and frames the story more like a Western. This became more of a futuristic Western, although Puen cites The Terminator as one of the major influences, along with The Searchers, Mad Max, and Conan the Barbarian.
All films I'd rather watch.
Yep. In fact, there's another Puen directed movie I'd rather watch than this, and that's the 1990 Captain America.
Yes, that's right. He did do that one. That's right. That's right. He got to do a Marvel movie after all. What do you know?
Yeah. This man also directed a movie. I just had to look through his filmography.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
This man also directed a movie in 2006 called Aliens Gone Wild. It's got a 2.7 on IMDb, but I am willing to give that one a try, to be honest. I'm curious.
That sounds like one you've covered on Pop Culture Roulette, Nicholas.
Surprised I haven't, actually.
I mean, Demi Moore is in it, so...
Really?
Yes.
Okay. 2006, yeah, she was probably looking for some work back then.
And now, these messages. What seems to be the problem, pal?
There's just so much pain in the world, so many issues. I don't think I can bear it.
Hell, friendo, it sounds like you could use a dose of pop culture roulette.
Pop Culture Roulette? What's that? Some sort of pop culture themed podcast or something?
That's right, sonny boy. When hope seems far, dive into some PCR.
But I already get my entertainment news from Variety.
Huh, that's pretty good. If you're a chucklehead, PCR gives you news you need, condensed, unfiltered, and raw, from three nerds who know a little something about something.
Wow, okay, sign me up.
That's the spirit. Pop Culture Roulette. New episodes every Monday, available on all major podcast directories.
Hey there, fellow 80s movie aficionados. Are you ready to embark on a nostalgia-filled journey to the greatest era of cinema? Then look no further than the Retro Life for You 80s Movie Podcast. Join us every week as we rewind the VHS tapes, dust off those Betamax classics, and dive headfirst into the neon-soaked, totally tubular world of the 1980s movies. From the Brat Pack to action heroes, we've got it all covered. Breakfast Club, Ghostbusters, E.T. and Indiana Jones, and more. It's like a trip in Doc Brown's time machine, but without the DeLorean. So whether you're a die-hard 80s film buff or just curious about the cinematic gems of the past, Retro Life for You is your ticket to the ultimate movie time warp. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Retro Life for You, and we can be found anywhere you listen to your podcast, as well as on our website, www.retrolife4u.com.
All right, moving right along, let's jump into casting. This is going to be a short list because there's hardly anybody in this movie that's in anything else. But we'll start with the muscles from Brussels, Jean-Claude Van Damme as Gibson Rickenbacker.
There's a name.
Born and raised in Brussels, his father enrolled him in a karate school at the age of 10, which led him to hold the rank of second Dan black belt in karate and compete in several karate and kickboxing competitions. With the desire of becoming an actor in Hollywood, he moved to the U.S. in 1982, where he did a variety of jobs and worked on several films until he got his break as the lead in the martial arts film Bloodsport, which Nicholas and I have already covered from a couple of years ago.
Which I would rather watch than this movie.
He became He became a popular action film star and followed up with commercially successful films like Kickboxer in 89, Lionheart in 90, Death Warrant in 90, Double Impact in 91, Universal Soldier in 92, Nowhere to Run in 93, Hard Target in 93, Time Cop in 94, Street Fighter in 94, Sudden Death in 95, The Quest in 96. He made his directorial debut with Maximum Risk in 1996.
Yeah. I'd rather watch Street Fighter than this movie.
I don't think I've ever seen Street Fighter, actually. I've seen most of those. I've seen Kickboxer. Yeah, go ahead.
It's only marginally better than this movie, but
yeah.
That's still better.
Yeah.
Yeah. I will say Hard Target's my favorite. I will
that was Woo, wasn't it? John Woo?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Amazing John Woo. I don't think I've ever disliked a John Woo movie.
Yeah. So I'm a big fan of Time Cop. That's one of my favorites.
Based on a comic book.
Yes. All right. So favorite Jean-Claude Van Damme movie. I guess we've kind of already said that. Nowhere to Run. That's your top one, Laramy?
No, Hard Target.
Hard Target. What did I say? Nowhere to Run. Yeah. Target. Yes. Yep. What about you, Nicholas? Lots of gems to choose from. Make sure you make your choice.
I'm trying to think. There was Hard Target the one where he was like a Most Dangerous Game ripoff?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, that one's probably up towards the top. Bloodsport was a lot of fun, but it was better than this.
Double Team is better than this.
Double Team, yeah. That was him and Dennis Rodman, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
About the pants. That's all I remember.
Yeah, Time Cop might be up towards the top. It when we rewatched that one for whatever we were doing, that was better than I remembered.
Mm-hmm. That might have been our 90s bracket,
Yeah.
I think. Much like Steven Seagal movies of the 90s, you look at this list and I'm like, was that one the one where, they all become kind of mixed together somewhat?
Oh, I'm not going to lie. When you originally asked me to join you for this. I think I actually confused it with Universal Soldier.
I could see that. Sci-fi.
Because I assumed he was a cyborg.
Yeah, you'd think so, right? Not so much. Yeah.
No, there's a cyborg in this apparently.
Only one in the whole movie.
Yep.
And she has about 10 minutes of screen time.
If that, yeah.
If that, yeah.
Yeah. All right, moving down the list, we got Deborah Richter as Nadi Simmons. I didn't know she had a name, like the girl that joins him on the quest.
Yep.
She began working in TV and film as a young teen. She first became known for multiple TV series guest roles and teen genre movies, including Midnight Madness in 1980. She also played Daryl Ann on Hill Street Blues from 1982 to 1987 and was a series regular on the NBC sitcom All Is Forgiven. She also starred in Square Dance with Winona Ryder and Rob Lowe.
Okay.
And I will say this is the only thing I've ever seen her in that I would recognize her from. Even though I have seen Midnight Madness, I don't know her well enough. So
I wouldn't recognize her.
I don't think I've ever seen her before in anything.
Yeah. This did not launch her career for sure. And then as our big bad Fender Tremolo, we have Vincent Klein. According to the audio,
up with these names.
We're going to get to the names in a minute. According to the audio commentary on the DVD for Urban Menace, director Albert Pruin found Klein when he saw him surfing one day and immediately thought he would be an excellent choice to play a villain as he had an outstanding physique and intense look. He went on to appear in minor roles in other surfer films like Red Surf, teaming up with George Clooney in 1990, and Point Break, going up against Patrick Swayze and Keanu Reeves in 1991. But with the exception of Gangland from 2000, he still got the bulk of his major roles in movies directed by Albert Pruin, like Blood Match, Kickboxer 2, Doll Man, Nemesis, Knights, Blast, The Wrecking Crew, Corrupt, Urban Menace, and Max Havoc, Curse of the Dragon from 2004.
Okay.
But for you, Laramy, he did appear in an episode called Showdown in the TV series The Adventures of Briscoe County.
Awesome. Yes. Which I would absolutely watch over this.
100 times. I wish they'd bring that show back.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
Love Briscoe County.
This is my favorite fact. He has a high-pitched voice in real life, so the first cut of the movie used his real voice. In its test screening, the audience laughed at all of his scenes. They found it funny that an opposing figure had a high-pitched voice. Afterwards, it was decided to make his voice deeper, and all of his lines were dubbed over by Branscombe Richmond.
I hate the water.
Yeah, I kind of figured that was not his voice.
Yeah.
So that's not surprising.
I would have assumed that none of these people's voices were their voice based off the way this movie was auto-edited.
Yeah, the sound is pretty bad. Like it all sounds overdubbed.
This dude was in Double Dragon.
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather watch that. Oh my God.
All right,
and move on to the next person we don't know anything about.
So the only cyborg in this movie, Pearl Prophet, played by Dale Haddon. As a child, she was enrolled in dancing classes to develop her physique. It worked well enough that she became a member of ballet at 13 and Miss Montreal at 18. Her good looks provided an easy entree to modeling, and she quickly became, did I say entree? Her good looks provided an easy entry into modeling, and she quickly became a highly successful fashion model. She moved to Hollywood in her early 20s to be with a boyfriend and decided to try out for movies. She quickly landed a role in a Disney movie called The World's Greatest Athlete in 1973. Disney saw a future for her in innocent girl-type roles, but she had other ideas. To Disney's shock, she promptly did a nude pictorial in Playboy, took off for Europe, and landed a string of steamy roles. She has worked primarily in Europe, cropping up for occasional small roles in American movies like North Dallas 40 in 1979 and Bullets Over Broadway in 1994. How she got talked into doing this movie, I have no idea.
No clue.
You can't say money because Canon didn't have that.
No, they didn't.
And whatever money they had, they blew that budget on the building her as a cyborg scene.
Yes. Yeah.
That's it. That's the entire budget.
Mm-hmm.
Money not well spent.
Yeah.
No.
I think it would have been fine if they didn't have her try to blink, because that's what makes it look even the most robotic, is her trying to blink.
Oh my goodness! At the beginning, when she takes the
wig thing,
yeah, and you see that, and then when Fender shows up, and they have that horrible, it had to be like a dummy or something of her turn around, like, huh?
Yeah.
But it is, oh my God, it is so bad.
Yep. All right, and then the last one I have on here is
wait. There's another person to talk about.
Yeah, this is the last one. You'll see why. Ralph Moeller as Brick Bardot, credited as Rolf Muller. In 1992, he had a role in Roland Emmerich's Universal Soldier, where he appeared alongside Dolph Lundgren and Jean-Claude Van Damme once again. A year later, in 1993, he played the role of the villain Brackus, the archenemy of Philip Ree and Eric Roberts in Best of the Best 2, The Unbeatable. After Cyborg and Universal Soldier, Best of the Best 2 was his third role in an American movie and the second time he played a supporting role. His two most popular and biggest roles were in Ridley Scott's Gladiator in 2000, as well as a role in The Scorpion King in 2002.
Okay, I know who this guy is.
Yeah.
Who was he, though, in Cyborg? I don't remember him in Cyborg.
Well, I will say that most of the bad guys are played by the same people. They just dress them up differently for different scenes to get beat up in because they didn't have money to hire enough bad guys. So
that's why these movies always put bad guys in masks.
Yes, yeah. Like the one with the weird, like, long nose, like Halloween mask or masquerade mask the guy had on. I saw today. Missed that one.
Yeah, this movie's horrible.
Laramy was dozing on that part. All right, that's all I got in the cast. Anybody I missed? Anybody I left out?
No.
You know, for once, I didn't have anybody to put down. There was only one person I knew from this movie, and I knew we were going to talk about him.
Jean-Claude Van Damme, that was it?
Yeah, that was it. I mean, it just, I looked through the IMDb and I said, oh, this person was in this person was in that. None of it. I was like, maybe if we were talking about that movie, I would take the time to figure out who that person was.
So was his daughter Haley?
Whose daughter?
Jean-Claude Van Damme's.
The stepdaughter?
Or the stepdaughter.
The girl? Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Whoever she was. Again, I couldn't follow this story. So whoever she was supposed to be. The girl that
there
was expected to hold 300 pounds worth of weight with a barbed wire. And then, and then she became one of them for some random reason.
Right.
And so if that was Haley, she was played by Haley Peterson. And this is literally all IMDb says. Haley Peterson was born June 9th, 1968, in North Carolina. She's an actress known for Cyborg. She is married to Dale. They have 3 children.
Congratulations, Dale. You made
all right, Dale.
I mean, I will say this much. It's not that hard to get on IMDb. I have an IMDb.
Congratulations.
Yeah, good job.
Yeah.
I mean, you get your 15 seconds on a Fox game show, you get IMDb.
Yeah. I get that. I just found it so crazy that the bio says she is married to Dale.
Yeah, I do know, like, talking about, like, overdubs, there was, and when I was going through the list of characters, there was one of the girls, but I couldn't figure out which girl it was, but she's
doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. I don't know if it was, like, the oldest, which I was trying to figure out, like, did the person who died, was it their father, or was it with the oldest one's husband? Anyway, but the oldest one, I'm thinking it was her, but they said that she was, like, a local actress in North Carolina, and even though she already had a Southern accent, they still dubbed her voice with another actress to make her sound more Southern. And I was like, are you kidding me? Like, what in the world?
Okay.
Yeah, I also had a hard time as I was looking through IMDb trying to figure out the difference between the girls because a lot of them looked just similar enough that I'm like, wait. And the flashback scenes, I don't know if we want to start on that part of it yet.
Yeah,
let's. This movie was nonsense. I mean, top to bottom.
Absolutely.
But the flashback scenes, there was no context.
Yeah.
Like,
no.
The only way you knew it was a flashback scene is that Jean-Claude Van Damme had that terrible wig.
Right.
The
and I love
long blonde hair.
I love how in the past his hair was longer, but Fender's was shorter. So of course they had to be flipped for the present. So
how else would you have known the timeline?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Even though he's still wearing the same glasses, obviously, like 10 years later.
So you may not know the answer. Does that guy actually have those color eyes?
No, he was wearing contacts. Yes.
Why? What was the purpose of the eyes? What was the reason behind the eyes?
Because he was a victim of the plague.
Yes, there you go. It has to be intense whenever he takes those glasses off. You have to stare into his blue eyes.
Just what
I love
the
about
opening of CSI Miami.
Yeah. What I love about the flashbacks, and I say love in a very sarcastic way.
That word should not be used with this movie.
What I love about the flashbacks is that you see the same flashbacks 3 or 4 times, and not like different angles of the flashbacks, not with different music, but like literally copy and paste a flashback of the exact same thing 3 times in the movie. Just in case you forgot, we just saw it 15 minutes ago, but here it is again for you to make sure the movie goes over an hour and a half.
I wrote it down because it was the most egregious of ones. Right towards the beginning of the movie, when Jean-Claude saves the cyborg, and she immediately is like, "I'm going to tell you everything."
Right. Right. Here's the plot of this movie. Are you ready? Here you go.
He gets shot. She flashes back to 30 seconds ago.
Right.
Like we didn't even come back from a commercial break. Like it literally flashed back to 30 seconds that happened before.
Yeah.
I
don't understand why she had to have flashbacks. Like she has one in the middle when she's on the boat of like so I guess she was human at one point, and then they made her a cyborg so she could carry information.
I think that's what one of the flashback scenes implied.
Laramy looks so confused. I'm sorry, you guys can't see him. He's just like, making faces like, you got that out of this movie?
No. Again, she was human, and then there's the dude has the conversation with her about, you're a prime candidate for this procedure,
right?
But you'll never be the same again. And she's like, it's okay, and so just completely rip my eyes out and do all this other stuff, essentially turn me into a robot, but yet I'm supposed to still be human. But what part of her is still human, I'm very confused by, because she seems to have been entirely turned into a robot, which is not a cyborg. A cyborg should have both organic and cyber, thus the name. It's cyber organic. So yeah, I don't know. This movie is horrible.
I'm sorry, Nicholas, you were talking and we totally interrupted you.
Like a flashback in this movie.
Yeah, sorry, that was a commercial break. We had to break in the middle.
Yeah, he's not wrong. I mean, it's. There was one scene where there was a fight. They used the same kick 3 times. It's like, why not just have? Wouldn't it have been cheaper just to have the actor kick him 3 times?
Well, okay.
Rather,
do you know who edited this movie?
Jean-Claude Van Damme.
He did. That's right. He did.
I didn't know that. I literally guessed.
After the original cut of Cyborg, it was a 2-hour 2-hour movie. It was much darker and more violent. Jean-Claude Van Damme's dialogue, including extensive narration, was dubbed by another actor. Cannon held a test screening of that version for an audience of 100 people. Of the 100 people, 99 of them said they hated the film. As a result, Pepin was kicked out of post-production. Jean-Claude Van Damme convinced Golan and Globus to give him and his producer friend, Sheldon Lettich, 2 months to re-edit the film, as he had previously done with Bloodsport, and make it more commercial. They also started a trend where several Pepin's later films were taken away from him and recut by the studio as well. So yeah, Jean-Claude definitely has a style when he's editing of like seeing a kick 3 times in a row very quick.
The other thing is, he edited it himself. He did not make himself look good. Like he lost pretty much every fight.
Yes.
Like at some point you expect the hero, the hero's going to lose maybe the first 1 or 2 fights.
Yeah.
Because, he's got to get back up. He's got to prove how much of a hero he is.
Mm-hmm.
But even in the last fight,
no,
he was still losing. He was getting his butt kicked left and right the whole movie.
Yeah. Fender kicks his butt every time. So clearly whoever wrote this prefers Fender guitars over Gibsons.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's in your notes because you said you were going to get to it, but
Yes.
I noticed every name of the main, and I'm using air quotes, main characters.
There you go.
Was based off of a musical instrument.
Yes, several of the characters' names are references to well-known manufacturers and models of guitars and other musical instruments. So Gibson Rickenbacker is from Gibson Guitars and Rickenbacker. Fender Tremolo, Fender guitar, tremolo arm. Marshall Strat, Marshall amplifiers, and Fender Stratocaster. Les was, I think, the guy with the Cyborg after Gibson Les Paul. Pearl Prophet for Pearl drums and Prophet 5 synthesizer. And then Natty Simmons, Natty Systems Incorporated, and Simmons Electric Drums. So there you go. Someone thought that was a good idea.
So yeah, Albert Pune or whoever helped him write this or whatnot, they were sitting, they were sitting in like a music studio or something.
Right.
Just looking around.
We're working a shift at the Guitar Center, writing the script in between customers.
There you go. There you go. Do I dare ask if there's an iconic scene in this movie?
No.
If someone said Cyborg. Is there a scene that pops out to you?
Okay.
Yes. Universal Soldier. Like that's what pops out.
Okay. I'm going to need your help on this one because when it got to the crucifixion scene.
Yes.
Does he use that scene in a different movie? Like him being, like, for lack of a better word, crucified?
Right, yeah. I mean, it's obviously...
Because, like, when it got to that, I was like, I've seen this before. I've never seen this movie before, but I've seen this before. With Jean-Claude Van Damme. So I was like, so at that point, I was like, have I seen this movie? And I've literally just blocked everything but this scene out.
Right.
No, I knew nothing about this. Nothing.
I'm Googling. Let's see. Yeah, it only shows Cyborg, I think.
So maybe when maybe I did see at least part of this movie a long time ago. Like maybe it was on TV and I watched the last like little bit of it. I don't know.
Right.
No, there's no iconic scenes. I don't even necessarily know if I have a favorite scene.
I don't. Yeah. I think the iconic scene for me is in like the sewer area when he does, of course, his split is always, it's always
in every movie. Yeah.
So when he's doing the split over the guys, he comes on. That was pretty heavy in the trailers. I think the crucifixion scene was in the trailer as well. So you might have seen a trailer at some point, and that's where that was there. But
so yeah, the split scene where the guy completely realizes he's above him.
Mm-hmm.
Slowly looks up, has plenty of time to have gotten out of the way, and then just screaming, just really weird screaming.
Right.
Well, it's Jean-Claude Van Damme. There had to be at least one unnecessary split scene.
Mm-hmm. Of course.
It was this split scene as unnecessary as the one he does in Time Cop.
And that one was cool, man. Come on. He jumps up and does a split
on the kitchen counter
to keep from getting electrocuted.
I would argue that the one in Time Cop was more necessary than this one.
I agree.
Yeah, I'll give you that. I'll give you that.
Yeah. The most painful one is in Bloodsport when he's like tied to the trees and being
pulls them apart. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't have favorite scenes or memorable scenes. I have a couple other scenes I have questions about.
Sure, let's go for it.
He's fighting a guy and somehow manages to light him on fire.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And then throws him into the car. And then the guy who's on fire blows up.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Because pyrotechnics are cool.
He had a cyborg part that
caught fire.
They caught fire. That's what it was.
Ah, okay. There was the knife fight the two girls were having, and it was a very tiny knife. And all of a sudden, the other girl had her hand cut off.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
And then correct me if I guess Tim's already answered this. That's the same woman she fights later who has both her hands, right?
I'm sure it was.
Yes. Okay.
Same actress, different character.
No, it wasn't.
And then the other one is so he's crucified, got arrows shoved through his arms.
Yes.
He manages to kick his way free.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what you do.
Flashback power.
And then a few minutes later, or like a day later, I don't the timeline of this movie makes.
Yeah.
I assume Natty was just standing there watching him kick the cross the entire time.
Oh, sure. He heard himself off.
Or she heard him screaming every time he kicked it, and then she was like, "Who is he? Must need me. Let me run to where he is."
Then he's fighting. There are no visible wounds or scars on his arms.
There is no one scene where you see that, but when he's actually fighting later, no, we don't see it.
Well, that's just like after what because after that, after Fender has beaten the crap out of him, it's all of a sudden they show him and he's preparing to go back after him, and there's not a mark on him.
Mm-hmm.
This movie's bad.
I did read a lot about the director's cut that got released in like 2010, 2011, whatever it was.
Yeah, you can only get it like on his website too, I think, is what I saw.
Right.
I'm good.
I don't like, part of me, infinitesimally small part of me, kind of wants to watch the director's cut to see if maybe it makes more sense and is at least somewhat more watchable. But then I read through Albert Pune's IMDb, and I was like,
nah.
That's
2.5 hours of my life I'm never going to get back.
There's no way it can be. I mean, it could. I was going to say there's no way it could be better. It could be better, but it's still not going to be good. So
right. Just watch Captain America, 1990.
Yeah. With the Italian Red Skull.
There you go. All right, let me hit a couple of trivia here. There's a few on here. As Laramy has mentioned, the film's title confused audience members who thought Jean-Claude Van Damme's character would be a cyborg.
Yeah.
Instead, the cyborg in the movie is Pearl Prophet. There was a rumor that Fender could also be a cyborg himself due to Fender's eyes, his brute strength, and the scream he makes when he gets impaled by a meat hook. However, the rumor was false, as Fender was human and bled like normal humans, and his eyes were a result of getting infected by the disease, which could explain why Fender wanted the cure. But I like the death.
That I hate the water.
All right. And then you mentioned about his eyes. So he once recalled that due to the low budget of the film, there were only 2 pairs of contact lenses made for his character. He mentioned that he lost the first pair during an early scene, but later thought he had lost the other pair while filming the final fight scene. This resulted in an immediate halt to filming as the crew searched for the lost lenses. However, upon returning to his dressing trailer, he discovered that the lenses had shifted above his eyes due to the smoke, dirt, and high winds in the final scene. This caused him to blink uncontrollably. By blinking again and again in his trailer, he was able to move the lenses back down, and filming resumed.
Well, yay.
And then this is not going to say my favorite story, but Jackson Rock, I guess he was the original Rock, was Rock in quotations, Jackson Rock Pickney, who played one of the Fender's pirates, which I don't know why they called them pirates when he doesn't like the water, lost an eye during filming when Jean-Claude Van Damme accidentally struck his eye with a prop knife.
Ooh.
Pickney sued Van Damme in a North Carolina court and was rewarded $485,000.
So was the price of an eye in 1980.
There you go.
So how many? So one, how many pirates were there?
Innumerable, it seems like.
Yeah, because it seems like even though Jean-Claude Van Damme kills several of them every fight scene, there's more the next time.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you see the boat, where are they coming from? Because I swear that boat holds at most, a dozen people.
Mm-hmm.
And Jean-Claude kills that many in just the first fight scene. So where did the rest of them come from?
The Pirate Recruitment Center is very good at their job.
Yeah, obviously.
I mean, all right, you both live in Atlanta now. I used to live in Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I know about Atlanta is that it's landlocked.
Yeah.
There is no, I mean, there's like Lake Lanier kind of close, but there's no real water system that you would take a boat to Atlanta.
Yeah. They mentioned Charleston. So like, did they take the water to Charleston and then walked the rest of the way? I don't know.
Where did they come from? That would be
that's what I never figured out, if they were in like DC or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Where did they come from?
That's never clear. Yeah.
I don't know.
All right, too many questions. All right.
I also love that when they're walking, I get that this is in the future and some time has passed, but I love when we see the entering Atlanta city limit sign. It's like in a wooded area.
Right.
I'm like, no, I don't care how far into the future this is. There would be no thick wood area like that as you're entering Atlanta city limits.
Right.
Other than that, it looked exactly like Atlanta. So
the future Atlanta.
Certain areas of Atlanta.
Yeah, there you go. So before his passing in 2022, Albert Pune had developed a prequel to the film, which was originally called Cyborg: Rise of the Slingers, before the title was changed to Cyborg Nemesis. The film, which takes place before Cyborg, details the formation of the Slingers after the plague brought about the fall of civilization and the pirates began terrorizing the survivors, and the Slingers are organized to deal with them. But how many sequels were made of this movie? Do you know?
About 2 more than there should have been.
I pray there are none, but you're asking the question, so I assume there's at least one.
Yeah. Cyborg 2, which starred Angelina Jolie in one of her first starring roles. Yep. That's the second one. Then there was the third one, and I think the Rise of the Slingers was going to be the fourth one, which became Cyborg Nemesis. So.
Which, if memory serves, Cyborg 2 is kind of a sequel to Cyborg in like name only. Like it's barely related, and they're just like, well, it's name recognition. Let's just throw that title on there.
It's like Troll and Troll 2.
Yeah.
They were all direct-to-video sequels, so it doesn't really matter.
And now, these messages.
Are you a fan of movies and TV shows inspired by comics? Ready for a podcast that dives deep into the thrilling world of adaptations? Well, look no further. Welcome to Moving Panels, the podcast where we discuss movies and TV shows based on, inspired by, and adapted from the world of comic books. This is your go-to podcast for all things comics on screen. I'm your host, Laramy Wells, and every Monday we explore the dynamic universe where ink meets action. We break down the classics, reveal hidden gems, and uncover the creative process behind your favorite adaptations. Subscribe to Moving Panels now on your favorite podcast platform and join us on this epic journey through the pages of comics and onto the big screen. Remember, new episodes drop every Monday. Don't miss out. Moving Panels, where every panel has a story and every adaptation is a blockbuster. Subscribe today, and I'll see you on the other side of the page.
The Starbucks cold brew you love is now available in a can. It's so good you'll believe that too good to be true can be true. Like finding out that you and your crush have been listening to the same playlist on repeat. With the smooth taste of Starbucks cold brew in a can, sipping is believing. Available in 3 delicious flavors. Shop now wherever you buy groceries. Click or tap the banner to learn more.
This episode is brought to you by Jira. Ever wonder how those big marketing campaigns that make headlines get delivered on time? It all starts with Jira, the only project management tool you need to plan and track work across any team. Every step of that campaign is organised in one place, from launching the campaign all the way back to designing ads and writing creative briefs. Get started on your next big marketing campaign idea today in Jira.
All right, box office and critical reception. We'll wrap this puppy up. Cyborg was released on April 7th, 1989 in the United States and debuted at number 4 at the box office that weekend. New releases Major League and The Dream Team took the first 2 spots respectively, while Rain Man fell to number 3 after dominating the top spot off and on for over 10 weeks.
All right, what was after? What was like 5 and 6? I really want to know what 5 and 6 are. I really want to know what people preferred this movie over.
Well, I mean, Jean-Claude Van Damme, 89,
he was coming off of Bloodsport, which was a fairly big hit. Not a major hit, but
and this is also pre-internet, so there's not going to be a lot of word of mouth telling us how bad this movie is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I still want to know though. What did people prefer?
All right, here we go.
over
Let's do top 10 for the weekend box office of April 7th through 9th, 1989. So number 1 was Major League in its first week. Dream
All
Team
good.
with Michael Keaton was number
Wonderful.
2. Rain Man was number 3. Cyborg is number 3.
Definitely better.
Number 5, Fletch Lives in its fourth week.
Okay, fourth week. Okay,
Yep.
It's died out a little bit, but I'd
So-
still rather watch it.
Debuting at number 6 was Dead Calm, which would have been an international movie because that was Australian, wasn't it? Nicole Kidman's like
Still,
first-
that's a good thriller.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Number
Oh,
7.
man.
Number 7 was a reissue of The Rescuers from Disney Studios. Number 8 was Lean on Me in its 6th week. Number 9, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure in its 8th week.
Okay.
And rounding out the top 10, Dangerous Liaisons in its 16th week of release.
Oh, wow. Okay, well, at least the stuff behind it, with the exception of Dead Calm, at least the stuff behind it was, several weeks in.
Yeah.
So I can give it that. But man, Dead Calm though, that's a good one.
Mhm.
Yeah, but it, in '89, it would have. Even though they spoke English, it would have been considered a foreign film.
Yeah,
and that's
yeah.
just not it. I guarantee you, it didn't get the same amount of screens that this movie did.
Oh, yeah. Let's see. I can tell you that. Let's see. So, amazingly, Cyborg was in 4th on only 830 screens, whereas Major League was in 1,500 screens. Dream Team was 1,300, and Dead Calm was just above it with 959 screens.
Oh, okay. So now I'm really confused.
So there we go. Yeah, come on.
I was trying
Yeah.
to find. Yeah.
Yeah, Cyborg debuted with $3.1 million. Dead Calm debuted with $2.4 million.
Can you pull up the second week and see how fast it fell?
I can. The next week, Cyborg dropped to number 7 with 1.8 million.
Yeah, I had a feeling that the drop off was pretty intense.
Yeah.
What about Dead Calm? I'm just curious.
Dead Calm was right next to it in number 8.
Okay, so Dead Calm not as much of a drop.
Here's the thing: Cyborg only beat it by like $33,000. Fletch Lives dropped to 9. Rescuers dropped to 10. Major League and Dream Team were still in 1 and 2. Say Anything debuted at 3. She's Out of Control debuted at 4. Rain Man fell to 5.
There's not a lot. Normally I can find something good to say about a movie.
Mhm.
This is not one of those.
Nope.
Hey, and the funny thing is, you go to the third week, it's not even in the top 18. It's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No
I bet
Cyborg.
I bet it's one of those movies that got pulled from theaters. Like,
Yeah.
you said that one. What movie did you say was in its 16th week and still in the top 10?
Dangerous Liaison.
Yeah. So 16 weeks in the movie theater back then would have still been a little bit, crazy. But something like that still in the top 10.
Mhm.
3 weeks later, I'm guessing Cyborg was probably out of the theaters altogether,
Mhm.
or
Yeah.
maybe even already heading to the dollar theater.
Right. All right. Rotten Tomatoes, 22% on the tomato meter and a 31 audience score. IMDb, 5.0 out of 10 with viewers and a 24 on Metacritic.
For once, I think I agree with Metacritic. Yeah,
It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad.
I feel like I'd be a little generous and just say 2 out of. Yeah.
Give it a 2 out of 10, or
out of 10. Yeah.
Okay, or give it a 2%.
However you want to handle it, it's a 2.
Yeah.
What about you, Laramy? 0.
I never want to see this movie again. I will fight anyone who makes me have to watch it ever again. And
I own it on Blu-ray, so if you ever want to get that itch.
No, look, if you ever
And it's-
hand me that Blu-ray, you ain't getting it back, because I'm destroying that thing.
It was a combo pack. It was Cyborg, Death Warrant, and not Double Team. There's another one where he's like a twin.
Oh, Double Impact.
Double Impact. Yes, it was those 3 together.
Okay,
For
are they on
$5?
Are they on separate discs?
Yes, they're on separate discs.
Well, then just destroy the Cyborg disc.
I think this is the first time we've found a movie that Laramy would not own in his collection.
Yeah.
Maybe the first one you found. I do think this has become so. People always ask me, "What's my favorite movie?" It's immediately Shawshank Redemption.
Yes.
Yep.
People have asked me, "Do I have a movie I hate?" The answer has always been Napoleon Dynamite. I'm not gonna lie.
What?
Yeah, I don't get Napoleon Dynamite, and I respect people who get it.
Yeah.
I do. I do think this is my new hated movie. Oh my God, this movie was so bad.
I broke Laramy. I'm so sorry.
No, you're good. It was, it's interesting to find something like this because I'm also the type of person. My wife Bethany and I had a conversation the other day. She was reading a book and she was talking about how she wasn't getting into the book. She didn't like the book, but she was like 65% of the way done. She's got it on her Kindle, so she sees the percentage.
Yeah.
And she was like, I want to just go ahead and move on to this other book. And she goes, what do you think? I said, well, I don't know about book wise, but there's never been a movie that I have never finished. I always have to finish the movie. This is the first time I regret finishing a movie.
You're better than me because I've abandoned many movies. Movies.
I don't abandon movies often. It takes a lot, but there's been a couple of movies here or there over the course of my lifetime that like I was like, I'm good.
Yeah. No. And sometimes it's not like intentional, like it's just like we started it and then like we have to leave or like something comes up and we pause it and we just never go back to it. And like 3 years later, like, did we ever finish that movie? And like, no, we didn't. So it just wasn't good enough to go back and finish. So, but there's been a few where I've like, I can't go any further. It's like, it's painful to watch.
Now, Laramy, had you not been forced to watch this movie for this, you were just like, I'm going to watch a Jean-Claude Van Damme movie I've never seen before, and you started it. Would you have managed to finish it, or would this have been the first one where you're like, I'm not?
I still think I got to hold to my
finish it.
My thing about finishing it. I still would have finished it, yeah, but I still would have felt this way of, man, that's truly, that it's truly the hour and a half I will never get back. Because again, I started this movie. I will tell you exactly where I made it to. I made it to the crucifixion before I fell asleep. So I didn't realize I only had about 20, 30 minutes.
Yeah, it was almost the end. Yeah.
So I made it to that before I fell asleep. And then again, I chose to restart the movie because I was worried I had missed something because I was not following what was going on. And as I'm rewatching it, I will admit, as I was rewatching, there were a couple of moments that I went, oh, I don't remember that from the previous viewing. But at the same time, but that still does not help me understand what is happening. I'm still totally confused. I think I could figure out the 3 seashells faster than I could figure out the actual storyline to this movie.
I love Demolition Man, but to this day, I still don't understand the 3 seashells. And I'm not sure I want to.
Yeah, exactly. It's not something I want to spend a lot of time worrying about. Thank you guys so much for joining me on this episode. Hey, but next week we get to talk about The Running Man, so that's something to look forward to.
So much better.
Absolutely. That's so much better.
So much better.
So much better.
That at least will be an enjoyment to sit and watch.
Yes.
I did read the book. The book, maybe not as much, but I finished it.
Okay, we'll get into it.
Yeah, but the movie, so much more fun.
Yes. All right, anything you guys want to plug for your shows? I know you'll be back on next week, but anything you want to let people know about this week that would be important?
No, I mean, just the normal, head over to Pop Culture Roulette on Facebook or Instagram, and you can find all the information of what we're doing and go from there.
End of August, we always do what we notoriously say is our bad movie. I got Tim, Chad, and my wife Bethany this year as we talk about one of the worst comic book movies and probably the single worst DC movie. We're going to talk about Jonah Hex. I would still rewatch it over Cyborg.
Now, that's a movie that I fell asleep on multiple times, and I had to finish it for your podcast. So I guess we're even now.
If you say so. But like I said, at least there's some sort of enjoyment in Jonah Hex, I think.
Yeah.
You can find some Michael Fassbender, just period. Michael Fassbender.
Yeah, even though he thought he was in a different movie, but that's
still.
Yeah,
You
go listen
still
to that
got to
episode when it
enjoy
comes
it.
out. Yeah, it's fun listen. Even if you didn't like Jonah Hex, it's a fun episode, so listen to it. All right, everybody, thanks for listening to this episode. That's a wrap. If you had as much fun as we did, drop us an awesome review and a shiny 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts. Don't forget to hit that follow or subscribe button and spread the word to all your fellow 80s flick-loving friends and family. Got questions or just want to chat about your favorite flicks? Connect with us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Support the show at buymeacoffee.com. Check out our online store at 80sflickflashback.com and tpublic.com for our flashback gear and original designs. Thanks again for tuning in. I'm Tim Williams for the 80s Flick Flashback Podcast. I have no cool line to say because there weren't any. Good night, everybody.
I hate the water.
I like the misery.
I would rather watch Waterworld than watch this movie.
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.